So we all know the MCU is packed with jaw-dropping scenes and epic one-liners. But what if I told you that some of the best ones weren't even planned? I'm talking about scenes so good you'd think they had to be scripted. But no. Today, we're once again diving into some of the most iconic, completely unscripted moments in MCU history. Let's jump in. Paper football. Avengers Endgame. Yes, Robert Downey Jr. did it again. When it comes to unscripted moments, he's the king, and this one, it's honestly one of the most memorable scenes in the entire MCU. Right at the beginning of Endgame, we see Tony Stark, a guy who's been through it all, stranded in space with Nebula, someone he barely knows, and they're running low on supplies. But instead of wallowing, they're flicking a piece of paper across a table, playing a simple game of paper football. What's amazing about this scene is how Tony, with just a simple game, manages to make Nebula feel something genuine. He shows her kindness and respect, something she's rarely known. Nebula has always been this hardened warrior, a lone wolf. She doesn't even know how the game works, but Tony teaches her, and in that moment, they're not heroes on a mission. They're just two people, passing time and connecting. Think about what this means for Nebula. She's used to nothing but pain, isolation, and constant fighting. But here she is, almost smiling in her own way, genuinely engaging in something playful. And the best part? This wasn't even in the script. Karen Gillan mentioned in an interview that the entire scene was improvised, and the directors just rolled with it. It's wild that a simple game of paper football could add so much depth. This unscripted moment, with no explosions, no action, just flicking a piece of paper, gave us one of the most unforgettable scenes in Endgame. Beyonce, Doctor Strange. In the 2016 Doctor Strange movie, we get this golden moment between Doctor Strange and his future ally Wong. Strange is still a newbie in the mystical world, but he's bringing all his New York sass and pop culture references along with him. During this pretty intense scene where Strange is looking for Book's son, Astral Projection, he just casually mentions Beyonce.
What do you want, Strange?
Books on astral projection.
You're not ready for that.
Try me, Beyonce.
Now, it sounds random, and that's because it was. This line wasn't in the script. Benedict Cumberbatch actually improvised it right on the spot. It's classic Strange. Strange referencing one of the world's biggest pop icons in the middle of Camartage. It's peak confidence mixed with a touch of rebellion. It's like he's saying, sure, I'll learn your magic, but I'm still gonna be me. And even better, Wong's reaction. He barely flinches, like, who's this guy talking about Beyonce and Camartage? And yet, it works perfectly. This one small moment added layers to both characters, showing Wong's no-nonsense vibe and Strange's mix of irreverence and charm. And here's the best part. Wong actually ends up listening to Single Ladies later on. This little improv moment brought one of the funniest connections to our world into the MCU. I guess even MCU characters have to thank Beyonce. The adults are talking. Avengers Infinity War. You probably remember the first time Tony Stark and Doctor Strange argued, right? It's intense. There's tension in the air, and we've got this whole genius meets wizard vibe happening. As they're arguing about being far from Earth and blaming each other for their situation, Peter tries to jump into the conversation.
On a flying donut, billions of miles from Earth with no backup.
I'm backup.
No, you're a stowaway. The adults are talking.
According to Tom Holland, that line, the adults are talking, was completely RDJ's idea. Once again, Robert nailed it. It fits Tony's character perfectly and adds a bit of comic relief to an otherwise tense exchange. This line works on so many levels. It's playful, yes, but it's also a reminder of how Peter is the kid in this whole Avengers equation, and Tony's trying to protect him, like a father would do with his son. This also serves as a kind of throwback to their discussion in the first Spider-Man movie.
Said I was crazy to recruit a 14-year-old kid.
I'm 15.
No, this is where you zip it. All right, the adult is talking.
The funny part? Just moments after Tony calls Peter a kid, Tony officially makes him a member of the Avengers. He went from kid to adult in just a matter of minutes. I guess we never really know what's going on in Tony's mind. Peck Touch. Steve Rogers has just gone through the super soldier experiment, and he's standing there, all 6 feet 2 inches of pure muscle, looking like a brand new person. Peggy, played by the incredible Haley Atwell, is just as stunned as the rest of us. The scene already has this big reveal vibe to it. Our scrappy kid from Brooklyn is now Captain America, and everyone's just kind of standing there, soaking in the transformation. And here's where the magic happens. Peggy, in complete awe, reaches out and lightly touches Steve's chest. Now, here's the kicker. This wasn't scripted. Haley Atwell later revealed that it was her own reaction to seeing Chris Evans in full super soldier form for the first time. She was as surprised as Peggy would have been, and her hand just, well, had a mind of its own. This small gesture wasn't planned, but it fit the moment perfectly. Peggy's reaction is so genuine that it adds an extra layer of authenticity to the scene. It's not just Captain America standing there. It's Steve, this guy she's grown to admire, suddenly transformed, and she can't help but show a bit of wonder. It's just so perfect because it captures how the audience felt too. We're all like, yeah, Peggy, we get it. This little unscripted moment added so much, making us root for them even harder. Plus, it adds this layer of lightness to a character who's typically all business. A better reaction that this was impossible. Secret Door. Avengers Age of Ultron. This moment right here proves just how on point Robert Downey Jr. was with Tony Stark. We're talking Avengers Age of Ultron, and there's this scene where Tony's exploring a Hydra base. Now, this place is packed with secrets, and in typical Stark fashion, he's playing around even in enemy territory. The original script didn't even have any dialogue for this scene, but as we already know, that's when Robert shines the most. While exploring that Hydra base, Tony, just like all of us, wants there to be a secret door. I mean, who doesn't love secret doors? He casually says, "Please be a secret door. Please be a secret door," and then, bam, the door actually opens. And what makes this scene even better is that the line was totally unscripted. But in this case, we also have to give credit to executive producer Jeremy Latcham for making this scene even funnier, because the "yay" you hear at the end was his idea to add in post-production. Maybe this is a simple line, but it's pure Tony Stark, and it reminds us just how much RDJ brought to the table.
Please be a secret door. Please be a secret door. Yay.
Get help. Thor Ragnarok. If you've seen Thor Ragnarok, you know exactly what scene I'm talking about. I mean, who doesn't love the get help scene? While in the elevator, Thor suggests this ridiculous idea to Loki called get help. Next thing you know, Loki's being dragged along like he's hurt, only for Thor to launch him straight at their enemies, yelling for help. That part where Thor just throws Loki into the air gets me every time. And the best part? Chris Hemsworth came up with the entire gag. The fact that this moment was improvised makes it even more special. Hemsworth's idea didn't just make us laugh. It highlighted the true brotherly bond between Thor and Loki. These two, who've spent years fighting, deceiving, and betraying each other, are now relying on this old routine. It's both hilarious and, in a weird way, a little heartbreaking, because it shows they actually do have a shared history, one full of chaos and crazy ideas like this. And Loki's reaction? Pure gold. He's fed up like, we're not seriously doing get help, right? While Thor is all in, totally committed to the plan. It's hard to believe that some of the most iconic moments in the MCU, like this one, were unscripted. There's no doubt that the MCU actors are insanely talented. Which scene surprised you the most for being on the list? For me, it's gotta be the Peggy scene. It's hilarious to think that was actually the actress's genuine reaction. And if you're new here, I've already made a video covering more iconic unscripted moments in the MCU. So, if you want to keep diving into this topic, just click on the video popping up right now. I will definitely see you there.